Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating piece of research from 2022. It's called Security Analysis of DeFi, Vulnerabilities, Attacks, and Advances, put together by Wenkai Li, Joyang Bu, Xiaoqi Li, and Xianyi Chen. To really grasp what they found, I want you to imagine a bank vault. But instead of being this massive, impenetrable steel box hidden deep underground, this vault is sitting right in the middle of a busy public square. Oh, and one more thing. It's made entirely of perfectly clear glass. Literally everyone walking by can see exactly what's inside, and they can see every single gear in the locking mechanism. Well, that glass vault, that's essentially what we're dealing with when we talk about blockchain finance. It's brilliant, it's totally transparent, and as this paper reveals, it's uniquely vulnerable. $200 billion. Let that number just kind of sink in for a second. By April of 2022, that absolutely staggering amount of wealth was locked directly into the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem. So, we aren't talking about some niche experimental playground anymore. The sheer velocity and volume of capital flying into this space means the stakes for securing it are just astronomical. The researchers zeroed in on this massive ecosystem because when you have $200 billion sitting behind our metaphorical glass vault, well, that scale is exactly what makes their security audits so incredibly urgent. I mean, every hacker on the planet is out there inspecting that glass for microscopic cracks. Okay, let's dive into exactly what this ecosystem is. Since we already know how DeFi bypasses the usual middlemen, let's look at how this paper specifically scopes things out. The researchers focus squarely on Ethereum-based smart contracts. They point out that while the efficiency here is just unparalleled, this programmable environment completely rewrites the rules of financial security. They're looking strictly at how these automated, self-executing contracts govern the flow of hundreds of billions of dollars, and why, frankly, traditional security models just don't apply here. Let's slow down for just a moment and look at this side-by-side comparison. In traditional finance over on the left, we rely on opaque, closed systems. Basically, security relies on secrecy, right? But over in decentralized finance on the right, we've got entirely transparent, open transaction information. And this brings us right back to our glass vault analogy. The core paradox of DeFi is staring us right in the face. The exact transparency that makes it so trustworthy, the feature that ensures no one can cheat you because everything is totally public, is the exact same transparency that fully exposes the system's inner workings to attackers. The code is visible, the transactions are visible, the capital flows, they're all visible. So here's how the researchers break down their analysis. First up, the DeFi security paradox. Second, analyzing systemic vulnerabilities. Third, investigating real-world attacks, and finally, optimizations and future directions. Let's get right to it. Section 1, the DeFi security paradox. Now, you might be wondering, why exactly is an open system so insanely hard to secure? Well, the researchers state the problem with brutal clarity right here. All transaction information is transparent and open when transacting through the DeFi protocol, which has led to a series of attacks. It's the ultimate double-edged sword. When a developer writes a smart contract for a new protocol, they publish it openly. Sure, that's fantastic for audits and community trust, but it also means malicious actors have unlimited time to just sit at their computers, read the code, and simulate transactions until they find a loophole. They can see the lock, they can see the tumblers inside the lock, and they can mathematically calculate exactly which key is going to break it. Total transparency is literally the driving force behind these highly sophisticated hacks. Section 2, analyzing systemic vulnerabilities. Let's shift from the overarching problem to how the authors actually break down these flaws. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the holistic approach the paper takes. You see, previous studies usually just isolated pieces of the puzzle, like maybe just the code or just the market. But here, they systematically map vulnerabilities across both economic and technical perspectives. For instance, a technical flaw might be a reentrancy bug in a smart contract. An economic flaw, on the other hand, might involve manipulating an automated market maker's pricing logic using something like Oracle manipulation, even if the underlying code is executing flawlessly. By mapping both the technical and economic sides at the exact same time, the authors give us a complete view of the entire glass vault, rather than just inspecting a single pane of glass. Section 3, investigating real-world attacks. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember we are talking about the safety of real people's money here. And this brilliantly illustrates how abstract bugs lead to very real-world consequences. It's one thing to categorize vulnerabilities on paper, but it's a whole different beast seeing them executed in the wild. The authors validate their systemic analysis by dissecting actual historical hacks. When a technical bug meets an economic exploit, like we've seen in some of those massive flash loan attacks, the consequences are just devastating. We've seen hundreds of millions of dollars drained in single events across the DeFi space. By mapping these historical drains, the researchers connect abstract theories directly to tangible consequences, proving exactly how attackers leverage transparency to shatter the glass. Section 4, Optimizations and Future Directions. Let's take a more optimistic look at how we might actually fix these massive security holes. Let's see how this builds into an ongoing, step-by-step process for securing the ecosystem. Step 1, as this paper executes so well, is systematically analyzing vulnerabilities. Step 2 is implementing active optimizations, writing defensive code and designing financial models that actually resist manipulation. And Step 3 is providing future directions. The authors emphasize that defending a dynamic ecosystem like Ethereum isn't just a one-time patch, it's a constantly adapting defense system. As protocols get more complex, our optimizations have to become that much more sophisticated. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Can a financial system ever be completely open and completely secure? The research by Li, Bu, Li, and Chen shows us that DeFi has achieved massive scale precisely because of its transparent, decentralized nature. Yet that very openness is exactly what invites the attacks. While their systematic breakdown provides a super clear path toward optimization, the tension between transparency and security remains the ultimate puzzle of decentralized finance. It leaves us wondering what the future of the glass vault will actually look like. Will the glass become unbreakable, or are we going to have to fundamentally rethink how we store value on the blockchain? Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive. Stay curious and keep learning.